What am I going to do when I'm a billionaire? I've worked with thousands of business owners across hundreds of industries in the last 10 years, and I've found a limitation that the unsuccessful ones have that the successful ones don't. Anybody that has this limitation will never succeed in business unless they overcome it. But the problem is they often don't even know that it exists. Now, I've been able to identify this problem and I develop a method for breaking through it because I had it myself and I made it through to the other side. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chris M. Walker. I am the CEO and founder of Legiit.com, the world's only B2B growth engine that gives businesses the technology, talent, training, and tracking they need to fulfill their business goals, and Superstar SEO, a seven-figure SEO brand. Now, the broke billionaire's dilemma is the name for the mindset phenomenon that is holding so many businesses back from being successful. A broke billionaire is someone that worries about billionaire problems, even though they are completely broke and haven't even gotten started. It's something I've been seeing a lot recently, in particular with coaching clients, with businesses, and with freelancers that I work with. And it basically goes like this. People that have a business that they want to grow will say things like, for example, freelancers will say, I can't handle 500 orders a month because I don't have a team, when they have less than 25 orders a month. Or business owners will tell me, I don't want to do YouTube because it'll take up too much time away from my clients when they're working like 4 hours a day. Or maybe agency owners that have told me that, what am I going to do to scale this SEO strategy to hundreds of clients and sites when they only have 2 clients? All of them will say things like, I can't send 100 messages a day long term when they haven't even sent 10. And so on and so on. You get the point. They're worrying about problems that they don't have and using that as an excuse to not get started, not take action, and take the blame off of themselves for why someone else is a success and they aren't. I call this the broke billionaire's dilemma because they're worrying about problems they might have when they are a success, when they're still broke, haven't accomplished anything, and aren't even willing to start in that direction. It would have been like Jeff Bezos saying in 1994, we can't be the world's largest bookstore because we won't be able to ship 1 million books a day, and just giving up. He wouldn't be a billionaire right now, he'd be broke. Or a non-business analogy is like someone that weighs 300 pounds saying they don't want to get down to 150 pounds because then they'll have to replace all their clothes and they can't afford it, so they just don't try. This may all sound harsh and maybe even ludicrous, but people need to hear it because it's holding them back from their potential. And odds are you know someone like this, or you are someone like this. I know I was. I would plan for every little thing that might happen miles down the road before I ever got in the metaphorical car, and it set me back decades. Now, eventually I was able to identify in myself why I thought this way and managed to turn things around, and I want to share with you what worked for me. So here are the 5 things I did to help me break out of the broke billionaire's dilemma. And stick around to the end for a special bonus that has really helped me shape my businesses and get over these kinds of hurdles. Now, I realized that if I wanted things to change, and I did, that I was going to have to make them change myself. That was the first thing, accepting that no one was coming to save me and I had to make things happen on my own. Once I accepted this, I started doing the second thing to break out of the broke billionaire's dilemma. I just fucking got started. Since I realized that I was going to have to make the changes I wanted to happen, I realized that any progress was better than no progress. So I would start a bunch of different projects and businesses and ways to make money and deal with the problems and roadblocks as they came up. Because the way to get to Mount Olympus is to make sure every step you take is in that direction. That's a quote from an unknown author. And as I said, this approach meant dealing with a lot of different problems that would come up with the various business models I would try. I would find that I didn't have a skill I needed. There was a skill I needed and didn't have, or there'd be a tool or software or whatever else that I couldn't afford. And of course, I also didn't know what I didn't know. So I had to figure all of this out. This meant a lot of time spent solving problems that I did have, which led me to the next thing that got me out of the broke billionaire's dilemma. But real quick, if you have a business and you find that you have some problems you don't know how to solve because you don't have the skill or just don't want to do it yourself, head over to legit.com/dashboard/start, plug in your website, and in 30 seconds, our AI B2B growth engine will analyze your business and match you with the talent that can help you with anything that it identifies. Now, the next thing that helped me break out of the broke billionaire's dilemma was not worrying about problems that I didn't have. When I started diving in and really getting started on different business models, I ran into a lot of problems. But what I found was that the problems I did encounter were rarely the problems I thought I would have ahead of time, and I'd wasted a ton of energy and time thinking about stuff that never happened. So this made me come up with the policy that I still have to this day, that I just wouldn't worry about the problems that I don't yet have. There's only so much time and headspace you can give out in a day, so you can't waste it on things that haven't happened and frankly probably won't ever happen anyway. That way you can utilize your time to do the things that actually move your business forward. That's really the key, optimizing your time and energy to get the maximum amount of return on them. And that brings me to the next thing that helped me put an end to the broke billionaire's dilemma for myself. Focusing my time and energy on what matters most. I had times when I wouldn't get started on a business, whether it was a website or a freelancing service, software, or whatever, because there were so many things that were needed to get it done that it seems overwhelming, so I just wouldn't do any of it. Now, after some time and trying different things though, what I learned was that 90% of the shit that we do in business can wait till later. So do the things that move the needle, AKA make you the most money first, do them the longest, and do them the best. And that will make the most difference. The world isn't going to end if you let the other stuff go. If you don't reply to that email or that DM for another 12 hours, the world's not going to end. So once I started using my time more wisely and on the things that mattered most, things really began to change and I really started making some money. But this made me realize the last thing that helped me escape the broke billionaire's mindset is if spending the bulk of my time working on the most important things yielded the most results, imagine the results I could get if I spent even more time on them. So to do that, I had to find ways to get more out of my day because at that time, I still had a 9-to-5 job doing IT support. So I started looking for things I could cut out that I was wasting time on. And let's be honest, we all have more of those than we care to admit. My first goal was to save just 1 hour a day. That's it. So what I did was I scaled back on the hobbies I had at the time by just 1 hour a day, not cold turkey, not quitting them, just an hour a day, done. Then I would start doing outreach and taking calls and building things on my lunch break, wolf something down in the 5 minutes I had left, and then go back to work where I would not do my job as much as possible and instead work on my businesses. Now, I want to be clear here. Everyone has different things competing for their time and they're all valid or mostly valid. And these approaches may not apply to you or be practical to you. But if you want to stop being broke, you're going to have to take stock of your time and figure out where you can get more of it back. Another thing I would do is stay up an hour later or get up an hour earlier just to sneak in another 10% of the day or whatever that equals out to. I'd spend my weekends putting in 8 to 16 hour blast of progress because I had those free and I could skip over the hobbies that I no longer was prioritizing. I scraped together any little bit of time I could, and soon I started to see some real progress. And here's a little pro tip for you. Once you get to a certain level, you can take this to an extreme by hiring someone to do your cooking, your cleaning, your shopping, and all that other little stuff that we have to do that eats up our day that doesn't move the needle forward. This sort of focus on my time is the only way I was able to break out of the broke billionaire's dilemma and to get to my goals, which brings me to the bonus that I mentioned, way of breaking out of the broke billionaire's dilemma, and that's having a goal, or as I like to call it, an end game, and reverse engineering what it takes to get there. You remember that quote earlier I made earlier about making sure every step you take is in the right direction? Well, that only works if you know where you are going. With your business, you need to have a goal, and that goal can change over time, but it will be what informs every decision you make. And if something isn't in service of that goal, you just don't do it. That eliminates so many things that can be distractions and waste your time. At first, for me, the goal was just quitting my job and working for myself. Now, over time, it's changed several times, and now the goal is to have every single business on earth using the Legiit B2B Growth Engine. So once you figured out most of what we've talked about in this video, most of what we talked about in this video will fall into place. But I put this at the end because I wanted to walk you through the steps I take in getting to a goal so that you don't set a goal and get overwhelmed by how enormous it is and just never get started. Once you figure out your goal, you can reverse engineer the steps to get there, plug them into this framework that I've shown you here, and finally get yourself free from the broke billionaire's dilemma. So stop being a broke billionaire and use this framework to achieve all your goals.